Okay, good afternoon and welcome to our July 23rd community update. Just want to let you know that today's update will be a little bit longer than usual. We have a lot to cover today. We're going to discuss a little bit about where we are for the 2021 school year. And then at the end of this session today, we're going to actually hold another thought exchange on the traits and experiences that as a community you would like to see in the hiring of our Director of Diversity, Inclusion, and Equity. And then also in the consulting firm that we are looking at bringing on board to assist with those initiatives. So we're going to begin that hiring process, and we want to hear from you today. So that will take place at the end of this session. So also just as a reminder, for those of you that have not joined us in the past, as we go through the agenda, feel free to post any comments or not any questions that you have in the Q&A feature on Zoom. So if you've joined us by Zoom, please use the Q&A feature. I know staff that so a lot of times we do this through chat, but we'd appreciate you doing it through the Q&A feature. And then also if you have comments, you can place those in the comment section on Facebook. We will do our best to get those questions answered and get them included in our FAQ that's out there on our website. We certainly probably will not have time today to answer questions live, but we will definitely take your questions and make sure that we include those in our feedback as a follow-up from this meeting. So just want to start off first with just a few items that took place at Monday night's board meeting this past Monday night. The school board approved many things that night, but among those were the purchase of some new school buses, 4 new school buses that we'll be adding to our Midlothian ISD bus fleet. With the challenges that we will be facing of opening 2 new campuses and the COVID restrictions as we continue to move through that, we know that these buses are going to help us with making the routes more efficient moving forward. The board also approved our request to purchase some plexiglass shields for many of our areas in our classrooms and buildings, as well as retrofitting our water fountains with bottle fillers on our campuses. So as students bring their own water bottles to school, they can fill it without touching the water fountains, therefore making it more sanitary. So that's just one of the many items that we are looking at in terms of providing safety precautions for our campuses moving forward in the fall. Additionally, our contract with the YMCA for after-school programs was approved on Monday night, so we will continue to be able to offer the after-school care for students, and hopefully that will assist many of our parents with that. Also, with our 2016 bond program, the contract with Adolphson Peterson has been signed for the expansion of our work at Heritage High School. So Phase 2 at Heritage will begin very soon. You should start seeing that here within the next few weeks. And remember, that expansion is planned to be open in the fall of 2022. So we look forward to that. So we have a lot of questions related to the 2021 school year. And so our board took action on a couple of items. One of those being, which I know came up a lot in the feedback we've heard from parents, especially as you're looking at making decisions for the fall. But the board approved that any student that has opted for virtual learning for the fall, so if you chose virtual instead of our face-to-face learning option, you still may participate in UIL and non-UIL activities. So those students that are involved in activities such as band or athletics may still participate even if you choose the virtual environment. So I know that that's been a question for many. So with many of the sources related to public health, I just want to go back and remind you, and I know I've said this multiple times, but we're allowing our local health and public situation to be driven by our local health officials. So I want you to know that we have been working with our Ellis County Judge, Judge Little, and our Public Health Administrator, Dr. Nordstrom, to discuss and provide recommendations as we move forward for our MISD health protocols. And so I know that there's a lot of information out there. I know there's a lot on the media about what's going on, Dallas County, Tarrant County, and we are listening to that. And we are definitely taking all of that into consideration, but we also have to work with our local health officials as well. And we continue to have conversations with them. In fact, our last conversation was yesterday in a conference call with them, getting guidance on the latest information we have. Also want to let you know that when they work through this, Dr. Nordstrom is relying very heavily on the American Pediatric Association as far as reentry to school guidance, which is exactly what the Texas Education Agency is using. So some of the recommendations may differ from the CDC, and I know that CDC is a lot of times what's shared in the media, so just know that there's a lot of information and there's a lot of mixed information, and sometimes there's disagreement between even some within the same organization. So we're sorting through all that. but we're right now kind of zoned in on listening to our local health officials and the Pediatric Association as they are looking at science related to, and information as it relates to children and COVID and the reentry into our schools. Of course, at the same time, we're looking at the safety of our adults in our buildings as well, which is our staff, and those are obviously the children and our adults are our priority, and safety continues to be our main priority. So on Monday, I want to let you know this coming Monday, July 27th, the board will be holding a special meeting at 5:30, and they are going to be really making some final decisions, or I guess at this point as final as it can be, because it seems like as we make decisions, then a few days later, sometimes we're making revisions to those. But right now, we'll be making some decisions on Monday night related to COVID. That meeting will be streamed live. So if you're interested in joining that, you can go to the Midlothian ISD website, go to school board, and then you can see on there the live webcast link to watch the board live. I'm going to share with you, I'm going to share a slide here. I'm going to share my screen for just a moment and let you see some of the decision points that our board will be looking at on Monday evening. Just a few items. I'm not going to go over all of these, and some of these are as part of our overall health and safety plan, but you can see some of these have a tremendous impact to our budget, and then some that affect our operations. And so you can see there, just looking at some additional subs to keep on campuses, so that in the event that we do have teachers that are out, we have subs that have been trained in either the virtual instruction or the delivery of a synchronous instruction if we have students that are out of the classroom. We're looking at some assistance to our teachers if they have to miss as a result of COVID. We're looking at subs for those face-to-face teachers who might be on quarantine, but we may need someone in the face-to-face environment to monitor that class, where that teacher at home or wherever they are in quarantine may be able to continue instructing that class. Obviously, we're going to continue to have costs for meals for students. We're looking at some additional technology integration to ensure the academic integrity piece with administering exams. We're looking at web conferencing to enhance what we've been doing in the past, what we did last spring. Obviously, some big decisions related to school start, and the one that I know most of you are probably most concerned about is our school start option. I know there's been a lot of conversation in districts around us, changing their start dates, changing the way they start school, whether it be face-to-face or virtual. And so we're going to be looking at that on Monday night and having a conversation about it. What do we need to do in terms of once we get into school face-to-face? What is that going to look like in terms of COVID positive cases? And when do we make a decision on shutting down the campus or shutting down a district? Looking at those guidelines. Also, the board has to approve our learning plan, because ultimately then that plan is submitted to TEA. So we're going to have to get that approved by our board. We're looking at our days. How do we train our staff? Do we need to make some adjustments to our current calendar? Just a variety of things that we need to have conversations with our board about. They've already seen the presentation. And so we will we'll dig into the details on Monday night and discuss some specific decisions that need to be made or that can be made by our board at that time. So we will be, we'll switch back over here. I'm certain that there are probably questions as I've touched on that, but I just wanted to let you know that really those decisions are going to be made on Monday evening. And I mentioned that we have, that there are several districts that have made decisions other than what they had originally publicized. So we may be looking at making some adjustments to that as well on Monday evening. I just want to share also some of the latest survey results. I know we asked our parents back two or 3 weeks ago to select whether you wanted to be in the face-to-face environment or the virtual instructional environment. So the results are that 69% of our parents have opted for face-to-face instruction. 30% of our parents opted for virtual instruction at this time, and 1% indicated that they did not intend to return at this time. Just so you'll know, and I think I shared that last week, but in addition to that, we asked our teachers, under the current health situation, how comfortable are you returning to a face-to-face environment, even with some of the safety protocols that we have in place. And so with that, we received that 52% of our teachers and staff are comfortable returning in a face-to-face environment, and then 48% were not comfortable. So just want you to know that those are all decision points that we have to weigh as we look at starting the school year here in the next 2 to 3 weeks or 4 weeks, and we will be discussing that on Monday evening. Another item, on Tuesday, the UIL released our fall sports season dates and guidelines. I'm sure you followed that on social media and Twitter if that's something that impacts you or your family. Just to give you a little glimpse into that, classifications 1A through 4A will begin on a regular schedule, which I believe football and some of our volleyball and those type of things, that's actually about a week from this coming Monday that they will begin those practices, whereas our 5A, 6A, where the 5A would impact Midlothian High School, they're on a delayed schedule. So in addition, they released that all mitigation guidelines in regards to competitions, fans, and those type of things were also released. So next week, our athletic director, Coach York, our fine arts coordinators, Dr. Williams, our high school principals, district administration will begin working through new guidance in order to solidify the plans for UIL, non-UIL, and our extracurricular groups. So all that was released a day or two ago. We'll be digging into that, and we'll release guidance on that in terms of how we're going to conduct events within the district. So I know that was quick, a lot of information, but now I want to jump over to the second topic that I mentioned, and that's going to be our thought exchange. So as you may have heard, we're in the process, like I mentioned at the beginning, of hiring a full-time Director of Diversity, Inclusion, and Equity. And the purpose of this role is going to be multifaceted. The primary role is going to be working with our campuses and our departments as we continue to be more culturally responsive in our instruction, policies, and procedures. At the same time, we have an RFP, a request for proposals for a consultation service to help lead MISD for the next year and possibly beyond, who that person is going to work hand in hand with our Director of Diversity, Inclusion, and Equity. So as we begin our interview processes for both of these, we wanted to hear from you. And so think about, as we go through this, what are the traits and experiences that you would like in a director and a consultant? So we're going to use your thoughts to develop a candidate profile. We'll use your thoughts to help us develop interview questions and much more. And we have individuals that will be joining us as part of that process, some of those that have been serving our Diversity Council and other community members that will help us through this process in a variety of committees. But we want to start with your input from a community standpoint on what you'd like to see in those two positions. So at this time, I'm going to ask Mr. John Scroggie with Thought Exchange. Those of you that have joined us in the past have met John, and he will assist us in facilitating this process. So, John, at this point, I will turn it over to you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ledbetter. So again, for those of you who've participated in the Thought Exchange before, this is going to be very familiar to all of you. A slight difference from what we've done in the past is we're not actually going to be discussing the results of the exchange during today's meeting. This is just going to serve as a kickoff for the exchange. We're going to gather your thoughts, and you're also going to share thoughts and ideas amongst yourselves as well in the exchange. The exchange will be left open until Monday, but we'll just have this meeting serve as a bit of a jumping off point. So without further ado, I am going to share my screen here with you all and bring you into this exchange. And so again, we're going to ask for your thoughts on what traits or characteristics do you believe are important in a Director of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion? And what qualifications or criteria do you believe are important in a consultant to provide MISD Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion consultation services? So again, for those of you who've participated before, you can simply just scan that QR code and it'll bring you right into the exchange, or you can go to tejoin.com and enter the 9-digit code. For those of you tuning in on Zoom, I am also going to put a link in the chat right here, which will allow you to participate in the exchange. And I think some of you are also participating on Facebook, and so I believe there'll be a link posted there. So I'm going to start the timer here. We'll spend a few minutes sharing thoughts in silence and then quickly touch on a few things and then wrap up the meeting, I believe. One minute left on the timer here, but no need to rush because this exchange will be left open until Monday. These are just to get the conversation started with some preliminary results. Just 10 more seconds here. All right, so the timer has run out, but again, I'm not going to close this exchange. I'm going to keep it open. I want you all please to continue to share your thoughts and rate the thoughts of others. And hopefully there will also be folks who weren't able to be on this meeting that will come in and participate in the exchange and have their voices added to the conversation. And again, there wasn't plans during this particular community update to discuss any of these, but I maybe just want to look at a few of them that have come up, that they should be an effective communicator. They should have a lot of relevant experience, and as this is an important part of any job, feel that they would need to have emotional intelligence and empathy. Working and communicating with multicultural groups requires excellent listening skills and empathy. And this one as well, I think that the director needs to have actually worked closely with marginalized groups, not just learned about marginalized groups. If the director has not worked hand in hand with marginalized communities in the past, then they will not do so here. So there's a lot of great input still coming in. So please continue to share your thoughts and evaluate the thoughts of others. And Dr. L, I'm happy to kick this back to you. I know, again, there wasn't plans to discuss any of this now, but this is going to serve as a great starting point for this conversation and these two hires that you're going to be making.
Absolutely. We greatly appreciate that. And thank you, John. I think just looking at the screen there, right before he cut it off, we had over 1,000 ratings there, and we've had over 100 various comments as far as characteristics and traits. So we very much appreciate that. I know it's not convenient for everyone to join during this time. So please, if you know someone that's interested in this or that would like to submit something, please direct them to this and how they can continue to provide feedback for us. Like I said earlier, we will take this information to develop profiles for both for the director as well as the consultant, and that will drive our decision making as we move forward. So thank you to John once again and Thought Exchange. They've been a great partner for us in gathering feedback from our community the last several weeks, and we will continue to do this on a variety of topics as we move forward. I want to thank you, our MISD community, for joining us today. And just a reminder that Thought Exchange will be open, so please provide us feedback. And then also reminder, Monday night at the board meeting, a lot of decisions being made as far as the reentry to school. And then we will have an update again next Thursday at this time with probably a lot of decision points that we can share with you, some final decisions so you can begin planning for the upcoming school year. So thank you for joining us, and I hope everyone has a great rest of your day.